Incidents are where all the theory gets tested because prevention is great until something breaks. And something always breaks. Quick story. Rajesh's bank had brilliant policies and controls. One weekend, the NOC spotted unusual network traffic. They hesitated to escalate, did not want to bother leadership, and by Monday morning, both the main site and the backup were down. The CEO finally pulled the plug on Tuesday. Total cost over 50 million. That's what incident management is about. Not stopping every attack, but minimizing the damage when things go wrong. Hi, I'm Laura. I passed the CISM after years away from studying, and here I make the hard stuff simple. This video is your shortcut to the main four incident management. We will cover everything from building the program to writing and testing plans, leading teams, handling incidents step by step, recovering and learning lessons. And yes, I will test you along the way with ISACA style questions. By the end, you will be confident with this domain. To make revision easier, I have put together a free incident management cheat sheet with the exam keywords. It's linked down in the description below, along with a full study bundles like guides, flashcards, prompts, and the planner, and all my favorite CISM resources, all in plain English in one place on my beacons page. So grab your coffee, let's dive in. This is your CISM session with Laura, and let's make security more simple. Domain 4 makes about 25% of the exam. It's where theory meets reality because incidents test whether your program actually works. Prevention matters, but response defines resilience. If you don't know this domain well, you will lose points fast. So let's start with what an incident management program really needs. Before you can respond, you need a program. And a program is not just a document, it's people, processes, and resources working together. Quick story. Emma reviewed her company's incident response program. On paper, it looked great, but when she asked who was on the response team, nobody had ever been told. That was not a program, it was a binder gathering dust. Emma rebuilt it with senior management support, a real gap analysis of capabilities, and clear assignments of people and resources. So in this section, we will cover what senior management support really looks like, how to run a gap analysis of your current capabilities, and the exam traps around having a plan versus having a tested working program. An incident program can just be a policy. It needs real support. That means senior leadership backing, the right people, proper tools, and enough maturity to respond effectively. Without this, your response will collapse under pressure. And getting that support depends on a few success factors. The critical ingredients are management buy in, gap analysis to find weaknesses, and collaboration across stakeholders. Without those, a program looks good on paper but fails in practice. With them, you have the foundation for a reliable response system. And if those factors are not there, the program quickly breaks down. Without resources and leadership, incident management fails. With strong support, recovery is faster and smoother. That's why this foundation matters more than any other tool. You can buy technology, but without people and leadership behind it, it will not save you. Let's test this idea with a quick question. What is the single most critical factor for an effective incident management program? Think about it. Is it new tools, more staff, something else? Which one really makes or breaks a program? The answer is senior management support. Without leadership backing, no amount of tools or staff can keep the program alive. Leadership ensures funding, authority, and accountability. All things theory alone cannot deliver. Now, once that you have got the program in place, you need a plan that gets people during a real incident. That is the IRP. Right. So, how do you turn a program into action with an incident response plan? An ERP is more than a checklist. It's policies, standards, and procedures that tell people exactly what to do when the worst happens. Quick story. Michael worked at a company where the response plan was so complex the staff could not even find the right binder during an outage. By the time that they did, the crisis had already passed. Michael simplified the IRP. He defined roles, mapped out clear steps, and tested the plan until people could follow it under pressure. This section is all about keeping it simple and effective, what an IRP must include, how to assign roles and responsibilities, and why testing your plan is just as important as writing it. An incident response plan defines policies, standards, and procedures. Most importantly, it makes roles and responsibilities clear so no one hesitates when action is needed. It's the document that turns intent into action. Let's see how that plan is structured. A good IRP gives clear step-by-step actions with teams assigned in advance. That structure avoids confusion during pressure. It transforms panic into coordinated response. Unlike everything in security, the plan can't be static. An IRP has to be tested regularly and updated after every incident. A dusty binder is not a plan, it's a liability. Testing keeps it alive, and updates ensures the plan reflects current threats and people. Let's check a common pitfall. When companies fail at ERPs, what's usually the biggest obstacle? Think about what really stops a plan from being useful. And the main challenge is lack of management support. Without leadership, plans don't get tested, updated, and they eventually fail. Support at the top is what keeps the plan active and trusted. And that leads us to the role of the information security manager in all of this. The information security manager is not just a spectator, they are the conductor of the whole response effort. Quick story Neha managed incident response at a large retailer. She never defined escalation threshold, so minor issue ballooned into a crisis because nobody knew when to pull the trigger. Neha fixed the process. She set escalation rules, aligned with business continuity and disaster recovery, and made sure lessons learned went back into the program. In this part, we will cover down the IS manager core responsibilities, how to integrate with TCP and DRP, and exam traps around accountability versus technical tasks. The Information Security Manager is the conductor of the entire response. They detect incidents, triage them, escalate when needed, and coordinate the entire recovery. Without this leadership, the response drifts. And that coordination only works if it connects to broader plans. The Information Security Manager ensures that incident response is tied to business continuity and disaster recovery. If those links don't exist, recovery is fragmented and slower. Integration avoids duplication and chaos. But even with good intention, a program still needs clear prerequisites. Effective incident management requires defined processes, committed resources, and escalation criteria. If these are not in place, the manager has authority but no tools to act. Preparation creates confidence. Let's check this with a quick scenario. So, what is the most important prerequisite for an incident program to work? Fancy tools, detailed policies, or something more fundamental? And you guessed it, the key prerequisite is senior management commitment. Tools and policies help, but without leadership backing, they will not be applied consistently. Now, let's talk about the people who make the plan real, the response teams. An incident response plan is useless without a trained team. Quick story. Two companies faced ransomware. Sophia's company had rehearsed incidents every quarter. When the attack came, the team acted calmly. David's company, on the other hand, had never tested. Their systems went down and the team froze. That is the difference that practice makes. That's why in this section we will cover team structures and models, the critical roles and skills needed, and how ISACA likes to test the difference between team composition and team effectiveness. Response teams can be centralized, distributed, outsourced, or hybrid. The model does not matter as much as clarity. Everyone must know how the team is set up. And once that the structure is in place, roles and skills come next. A strong team includes technical handlers, but also legal, HR, and PR. Communication leadership and decision making skills are just as critical as technical knowledge, because in the heat of a crisis, how a team performs makes the difference. Teams must manage stress, stay calm, and communicate clearly. A well drilled team reduces panic and speeds resolution. Soft skills are what hold the technical work together. Here's a quick test for you. What quality matters most in an incident handle? Coding ability, project management, or something that keeps the team steady? The most important skill is stress management. Under pressure, calm decision making matters more than technical depth. With teams ready, the next challenge is the incidents themselves, handling them in real time. Now comes the action, handling incidents in real time. Quick story. At a bank, Arjun's team noticed suspicious activity, but the NOC did not escalate. They assumed it could wait. By the time that leadership act, losses had skyrocketed. Arjun introduced proper classification, escalation rules, and clear notification procedures. From then on, the right people were alerted at the right time. That's why ISACA loves this part, because getting the sequence wrong is costly. And if you want more real examples like Arjun's, I have packed them into my study guide bundle with escalation flowcharts, notification templates, and exam traps explained in plain English. You will find the link in the description, right next to the free cheat sheets per domain. Now, in this section, we will cover how to classify and categorize incidents, how detection works, from CM to help desk reports, how to escalate and notify stakeholders, and the legal aspects that you can't ignore. Not all the incidents are equal. Classification by severity helps prioritize resources, ensure the most critical issues get attention first. And classification is only useful if detection is solid. Detection comes from tools like IDS, IPS, CM, and also from people like the help desk. Both machine and human signals matter. Missing one weakens your defense. Once detected, escalation rules decide how the issue travels. Escalation criteria define when to alert managers or executives. Without rules, signals get lost or delayed. Notification ensures the right people are aware quickly. And as incidents grow, legal procedures may come into play. Some incidents require legal oversight to ensure compliance and reduce liability. Involving legal early avoids mistakes that regulators punish later. Let's test this with a quick study case. Let's bring back a question we had at the end of domain 2. Think about everything we have covered so far: detection, escalation, and investigation. Now, which situation would pose the greatest risk to information security? The biggest risk is incidents investigated in 5 days, because delayed investigation means an attacker could sit inside your environment for days before anyone even looks. Antivirus updates and patch timelines are important, but waiting 5 days to investigate an incident leaves the business door wide open. And that's why the next stage is so critical. Once that incident is confirmed, you move fast into containment, eradication, and recovery. Not every event is an incident. That's why investigation is step one, to confirm what's really happening. Quick story. Caroline's company confirmed the breach but failed on communication. One department emailed staff to ignore rumors. Another one told everyone to shut down their laptops. The mixed messages caused panic more than the incident itself. Caroline fixed it with a communication plan: one channel, one voice, one message. So, in this part, we will cover how to investigate and evaluate incidents, how to contain them without making things worse, and how to communicate internally and externally without adding chaos. Containment is about stopping the bleeding fast. Short-term actions like isolating a server or disabling an account, keeping the incident from spreading further. The goal is not to fix everything immediately, but to buy time and prevent escalation. The next step is eradication. It goes deeper. You eliminate the cause of the incident. That means cleaning up malware, closing vulnerabilities, or removing compromised accounts. Without eradication, the same problem will come right back. And once the threat is removed, you can start restoring systems safely. Recovery is about restoring affected systems and bringing them back online. But it has to be done carefully. Rushing increases the chance of reinfection. A phased, controlled recovery ensures systems are stable before full operations resume. And after recovery, the final step is learning from what happened. Every incident should end with a review. The purpose is not to assign blame, but to capture lessons and feed them back into the program. Applying those lessons improves processes and reduces the chance of repeating the same mistakes. Let's check this with a quick question. So, after an incident ends, what's the real purpose of the review? Think about what we have just discussed. The main purpose is to improve the response process. Reviews are about learning, not about finger pointing. Containment is only a temporary fix. To truly resolve an incident, you need to eradicate the root cause, recover system carefully, and then review what happened. Quick story. Vikram's team rushed recovery without finding the root cause. 2 weeks later, the same malware reinfected the network. Now he changed the process. Root cause first, careful recovery, and lessons learned documented and applied. In this section, we will cover the difference between containment and eradication, how to plan a careful recovery, and how to run a lessons learned review that actually improves the program. Investigation confirms if an event is truly an incident and identifies the cause. Without the root cause analysis, you are only treating symptoms. And during all this process, communication makes or breaks the response. Clear, consistent communication prevents confusion. One message, one channel, one voice. Conflicting messages cause more damage than the incident itself. Here's a quick decision for you. Your customer database is breached. What is the very first step? Call PR, alert the police, or and yes, the first step is to confirm the incident. Acting without facts creates chaos and wrong decision. When an incident escalates into a legal matter, evidence handling makes or breaks your case. Quick story. Amelia's company failed to preserve logs properly. When regulations arrived, the evidence was ruled inadmissible. The company paid millions in penalties. Amelia changed the process. Change of custody for every log, bit by bit forensic copies, and documentation for legal defensibility. That's why this section covers how to preserve evidence with a chain of custody, how forensic copies are created, and how ISACA tests your knowledge of legal admissibility. Evidence must be preserved carefully. That means collecting it without altering timestamps, files, or log. Just as important is maintaining the chain of custody, a record of who handled the evidence, when, and how. Without it, the evidence cannot be trusted in court. Once preserved, the next step is how to process that evidence for analysis. In forensics, the gold standard is a bit by bit copy of the media. This preserves deleted files and hidden data in a defensible way. From there, experts analyze the copy with forensic tools, ensuring the original remains untouched and reliable. But even the best forensic process won't matter if the evidence is not legally admissible. For evidence to stand in legal proceedings, it must be admissible. That means every step, from collection to analysis, must be documented and defensible. If documentation is missing, the case can fall apart even if the technical work was perfect. Now, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. What is the most reliable type of forensic copy? The correct method is a bit-by-bit copy. It preserves everything, including deleted data, in a legally defensive way. Now let's connect incident response with business continuity and disaster recovery. Incidents don't exist in isolation. They often trigger business continuity or disaster recovery. That's why incident management must integrate with BCP and DRP. Quick story. Daniel's company had a hot site. When their data center caught fire, they were running again in hours. Minnie's company, on the other hand, had only a cold site. It took them weeks to recover. That's the difference between preparation and not preparation. In this section, we will cover how BCP and DRP link to incident response, key metrics like RTO, RPO, MTO, and SDO, and how to choose between hot, warm, and cold sites. Incident response often triggers business continuity or disaster recovery. If they are not linked, response stays technical but business operations collapses. Those are links defined by clear metrics. RTO defines recovery time. RPO defines acceptable data loss, and MTO defines maximum outage. Knowing this ensures realistic recovery targets, and those targets connect directly to the recovery site options. Hot, warm, and cold sites define recovery speed. Hot sites are fast but expensive. Cold sites are slow but more cheap, and warm sites sit in between. Let's test this with a quick question. Which recovery site gives you full readiness at the highest cost? The answer is a hot site. It's expensive, but operations resume in hours, not weeks. Now let's wrap up with training and testing. Here's the truth. A plan that's never tested is a plan that fails. Quick story. Oliver's company showed off a 200-page response plan. But when an incident hit, no one knew what to do because they had never practiced. Oliver fixed that with training and regular tests, tabletop simulations, and even full interruptions. Every round made the team faster and calmer. That's why testing is critical. In this part, we will cover the different types of tests from tabletop to full interruption, how metrics measure effectiveness, and how ISACA loves to test the difference between a documented plan and a tested plan. A plan that's never tested is a plan that fails. Training and testing prove if people know their roles when the stress hits. And there are different ways to test. Tabletops walk through scenarios. Simulations create pressure, and full interruptions prove resilience. Each builds confidence in different ways, and success is measured by metrics. The key metrics are mean time to detect and the mean time to respond. They show if your team is getting faster and sharper over time. Let's finish this chapter with one last question. When running a disaster recovery test, what really makes it successful? Backups, logs, or hitting the recovery targets? The most important factor is restoring all systems within the RTO. Meeting recovery objectives proves that the plan works. Now, let's pull it all together. Incident management is where theory meets reality. And you have now seen how programs, plans, teams, and processes all connect. But the exam will test more than definitions. It will test whether you can apply the sequence investigate, contain, recover, and improve. So before we close, let's challenge you with a few quick questions. And once you have tested yourself, I will finish with a key summary of Domain 4 and the key takeaways that you need to carry to the exam. As we are wrapping up, let's put this into practice. Here are some of the kind of questions that ISACA loves to ask in Domain 4. If you can answer this in your own words, you are exam ready. And if not, don't worry. That's what the summary and the cheat sheet are for. Let's recap the key takeaways. Here's the big picture of Domain 4. Build programs with senior support. Write and test clear IRPs. IS managers set escalation and link to BCP or DRP. Train and assign response teams. Handle incidents step by step. Investigate, contain, eradicate, recover. Preserve evidence with chain of custody. The non-recovery metrics are RTO, RPO, and MTO. Test often, measure MTTD and MTTR. Your next steps are to download the free incident management cheat sheet, review these keywords, and practice with exam-style questions. That's how you will make Domain 4 stick. Now let's celebrate. You have completed Domain 4. All right, so that's Domain 4, Incident Management. It's where prevention ends and response begins. We have covered building a program, response plans, manager tasks, team, handling, investigation, recovery, evidence, PCP, and testing. A whole lot. For the exam, pay close attention to process flows. What comes first, what comes next, and what roles owns what. That's where ISACA loves to trip you up. To help you revise, I have created a free incident management cheat sheet with exam keywords for this domain. You will find a link in the description below. And if you want to go further, all the full resources, study guides, flashcards, AI prompts, and the planner are together on my beacons page, explained in plain English. Because incidents are inevitable, but what defines success in the exam and in real life is how you respond. This was your CISM session with Laura, and remember, let's keep security simple.